All right, good day, everyone. Welcome back to SirAntwi Education channel. Today, we continue with our revision exercise towards our paper 1 examination next week. Specifically, we're going to focus on June SC Senior Certificate 2025 paper. The last time we looked at the SE 2025 rewrite question paper. And then you can also get access to the videos if you did not join us. Today, we are going to focus on the actual paper, right? And then you will find the link of the question paper and data files below this particular video. I can also share them before we start. Right. Now, let's start with the first question, which is one esports. Right, so we're gonna start from the first question, one esports. Please don't open the rewrite. This is the rewrite we did the last time. You have to open the June 2025. And then the first question says, insert the text esports in the status property of the document. So we go to our document, status property, which we can find it from file info, and then we go to show all properties. Then we can look for the status and add the esports inside the status. Right. The second question, change the drop down applied to the text esports so that it is left aligned. The first one, it should be left aligned with the rest of the text, and then it should be dropped over 5 lines. So we will be looking at that. This is the drop cap that is already inserted, and we have to change it to be left aligned, and then it should be dropped over 5 lines. So when you click on it or you select, you will realize that it is haven't justified. So we need to change it to left align. And then you right click on it, or maybe before it. When you select it, then you right click, you will find drop cap. Remember, if you just click on it and you right click, you will not see that. So what you need to do is you click on it. Remember, it is like a shape. When you click there, you right click and then you'll find drop cap. Now, it should be 5 lines instead of 2, and then okay. The next question, modify the win style as follows. So there's a style called win, and then we should change the character spacing to a scale of 150%, and then expanded spacing of 2 pt. Then we should add a preset orange glow, the keyword is glow, text effect of 8 pt. So this should be text effect, and then it should be 8 pt for 3 marks. So let's go and check that. This is the win style. So you right click and then you choose modify. Now, when you modify it, then you see format. The first question says we need to change the character spacing, and then we find the character spacing under the font group. It is not part of the paragraph group, but rather the font group. So we go to font group, and then Advanced, we will see character spacing. Then this question says we change the scale to 150%, and then the spacing should be not condensed, expanded by 2pt. Right. And then we go back to format, and then we choose text effect. Now, when you choose text effect, according to the question, glow text effect. So this first one here is just the text fill and then outline. The second one is the text effect. So we click on the text effect, and then we'll find glow. And then according to the question, we should choose preset, the orange one. So these are the presets. Then we'll look for the orange. This is the orange colors. And then 8pt. So we choose the orange. They did not specify the glow point. Okay, it's here. Glow 8pt. So this is the one. Right. And then the question again. Then you click OK. We don't need to do any other thing. Then the best thing to always tick automatically update, so that whatever style that they have applied on will be automatically updated. And then you click on OK. Right. The next question. Find and replace all the occurrences of the exact word games with a win character style. So meaning that we are going to apply the win character style on games. That is what this question wanted us to do. It doesn't mean that we have to find games and then we replace with win character. No, we are applying the win character style on games. So we need to use find and replace. So we can go to the search and say replace. So find what? Game. Let's check whether it's game or games. Yeah, they say games. And then we go to more. So we have to say find whole words only whenever they are talking about the exact word. So that's the one that you must tick. And then you go to replace with. Now, when you go to replace with, you click there. Then you go to format. Character style. So the styles will be part of the style. And then we go and look for the win character style. This is the one, not the win style. The question says win character style, and then OK. Then we click on replace all. So we got 18 replacement, whereby games have been replaced with or maybe formatted with the win character style. Right, the next question, 1.5. Find the image next to the paragraph that starts with how esports competition works and format the picture as follows. Format the picture style to a white rotated border, and then also the border color to be light blue. Then the artistic, add an artistic paint stroke effect. So that's the artistic effect. That should be paint strokes. So these are the things we have to apply on that picture. So let's go and look for that picture. Here is the picture. So whenever you select a picture, you must click on the picture format. Then we start with the picture style. Now the question says the picture style should be white rotated border. So when you go there, you look for white rotated border. I think it should be this one. Yeah. Rotated border, which is white, this one. And then the next question says the border color should be light blue. So when you select the picture again, picture format, picture border, don't forget to pick any border weight. Let me just make it to be a big one. And then the color to be light blue. Right. Then the next question says artistic paint strokes. Now again, when you select the picture format, now you see artistic effect. This one is not picture effect, it's the artistic effect. Then each of them has a name. This is marker, this is paint stroke. So you select that one. The next question, edit the footnote on the text dota 2 as follows. Change the number format to a symbol, and then again convert the footnote to an endnote. So here we are going to do that, and then we convert the footnote to an endnote for 2 marks. Sorry. So now the first thing that we need to do is to change it. Now let's go and look for that dota. Now, this is the dota they want us to change. So we can either, there are two ways. You can either delete it and then insert anyone with a picture, or you can equally select, you right click, and then you see note option. So that you can now change it to the symbol that the question wants you to apply on. Right. So here, then I go to references, endnote and footnote. Now, I want to use a symbol instead of the 1, 2, 3. Now the question says, WebDance character code 185. So we look for WebDance. Character code 185. And then you click OK. So this is the code. Then we are no longer going to use the 1, 2, 3. We used only this one. And then we click on insert. So that symbol is there. Then it is replacing it. So that is the easier way to do that. You select it, then you now insert the footnote. Then after that, we need to change this one to endnote. We need to change this one to endnote. So we right click and see convert to endnote, so that it will automatically change to endnote. Right. So that's how we switch from endnote to footnote, or footnote to endnote. We move on to 1.7. We need to create a new style, a new bookmark called sponsor, to replace the current one, organizers. So bookmark, we must go and look for that bookmark. So we can search for bookmark. So you see organizer is already there. So when you click on organizer and then you click on go to, it takes you to that particular bookmark. So here is the one. Now, we need to create a new one called sponsor. And then you click on add. So now if we go back to bookmark, that sponsor, when you click on go to, it takes you to also that one. So we can now delete the organizer one. So we have only sponsor. It still takes us to that place. So if I'm somewhere here and then I go to bookmark, so this sponsor, when I click on it, say go to, it takes me to the exact text that is highlighted. So that's how we insert bookmark. You can delete the existing one, but first of all, you must locate where that bookmark is going to the target location before you can do that. Right. The next question, that's 1.8. Find the SmartArt below the heading, the growth of esports. This is the SmartArt, and the question wants us to edit the SmartArt to look like this for 3 marks. So this is the SmartArt. Again, when you select the SmartArt, you go to SmartArt design, and then you go to layout, then you look for the exact layout. So if you don't find that layout here, you can go to more layout. Then you scroll down until you see that particular SmartArt. So I think that SmartArt should be part of I think it should be hierarchy, or the very first one. It's not this one. I think it's this one. No, not that one, because if you look at, there are some arrows and these boxes, they're rectangular. So we have to look for the arrows with that rectangular shape. Let me look for list. It should be list. Not this one. And it's not that one as well. Right. We need to pick the exact one. It's not a list, and it's not also a process. I believe so. Not this one. I think it's vertical arrow is this one. Let's click OK and see. Yes, it's vertical arrow. Yeah, that's the exact one. Now, it looks like that. But we have the first one, 1972, followed by 1990 and 2000 and 2020. So let's check whether we have all of them. We have 1972, 1990, 2000, but we don't have the one for 2020. So we need to add the one for 2020, and I believe this is the text. So we need to cut this text. Now we need to add the same level, or we can just right click here. You can just right click and say add shape after, so that we have another one. Then you can paste this text, and then you paste that one also there. Now, when we have more like this one, we can delete this one, or we can just go here and press delete, so that we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So basically, that is what the question wanted us to do. It did not, it said ignore the font size. That means we don't need to consider the font size. That is why it's 3 marks. Right. Then the next question. Move the SmartArt with the heading so that they always appear at the top of a new page. Now, they have to move at the top of the new page. That means there should be a page break before. That's the first one. Secondly, they must always be together. So that is why we need to take that one. So now we select the heading, the growth of the esports together with the SmartArt, and then you go to the paragraph group or settings, then line and page break, then you take page break before. Now, if you want it to be together, you can also say keep with next and OK. So now you can see that they are separated. So now we need to make sure there's only on the first page, so page break before. Is split into that one, so we can go here and choose page break before, so that they'll move to the next page and it should be on top. Now, if we want them to be together, that is when we can use keep lines together for these two to be together. Right. Now we should change the orientation only for the last page to landscape. So here, the last page, we need to make only this one to be landscape. Now, in order to do that, you must make sure that you have inserted what we call the section break. Now, let's check whether the section break was already inserted. So first of all, we have to click on show or hide and see whether there was a section break. No, it is only page break. So we need to insert section break, which is layout, breaks, and then we choose continuous. Then we can now make this one to a landscape. We click here, layout, orientation, landscape. So as soon as you choose continuous break, then you can now go to the landscape and then set only that page to be landscape. Right. The next question, 1.10. Add a footer to the document as follows. Now this question is saying footer, they didn't say page numbers. Insert the built-in view master into bracket vertical footer. Now we change the page numbers of the last two pages to continue in the format ABC. So the last two pages should only be in ABC. Right. So what do we have to do? We have to go to the footer. So we need to go to insert and then we go to footer. Now, there are different types of footers here, but the question is looking for vertical. Yeah, here is it. View master vertical, not that one. So we have to choose this one. And then we have view master vertical. Now, the question said the last two pages should be ABC, not this one. So meaning that we need to make sure that we set up the link to previous. This one here must have its own section break. And this also, so that we delink them. So we go here again, and then we insert section break. But now the question says it should be it should continue. So here we can change that one to the format to be ABC, and then should continue from the previous. But then we start from maybe A from here. But then because the question says only that part should be, that's why we must put a section break so that we split them. You see now here is 6. So we needed to put a section break. But I wonder why the section break and it's only 2 marks. It's only 2 marks. So we need to put a section break here. And then this footer here, we should delink. It should not be linked to previous. Then we can now change this one to ABC to start at A. So that here will be A, and this one is 2, so we must make this one to be B also. So that this one will be B. So basically, they want only the last two to be A, B, but the rest of the pages should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Now, the next question. Find the text below the heading budget of 2026 and change the text into a table to appear as shown in the example below. So here we needed to change this one. Remember, there is a calculations here. Now, they didn't tell us what type of calculation should we apply there. So we need to also look at it properly. This is 20,206,988. So I believe they added all of them. So now let's go and check that table. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, rows. Meaning some are missing. The tournament name. So we need to add this. So we have to click inside the first row. Then we go to table layout. And then we insert above 3 rows. And then when you insert the 3 rows, the tournament name, the host, and the amount must be in the headings. So this one should be headings. So we need to put this one as heading. Or you could have also created a table for that, and then we merge the 2 tables. Or alternatively, you can just copy them, the values. You cut and paste. Right, now when you have this, according to the screenshot, there should be another last row. So you go there and then you go to table layout and then row below. And there should be a calculation over there. So when you click there, then table layout, you will see formula and then sum above. So we get a right answer. That means they added them. Right, let's see what is missing. I think that is what they did not ask for any line between. But then if you are not sure, you can also increase the borders. So here, let's go back to the table layout and then, or maybe table design. Then we increase the border lines, maybe to 1 pt. And then we choose the borders around. We can select it, borders, and say outside. Right, I don't think the question needed us to do all this because of the total marks. They needed us to do the calculation, insert the rows, and then put those things inside. Right, that's all for question 1. Let me check if there's no other question. Right, if there are no questions, I will proceed to question 2. Now, regarding question 2, the first one, they say open the 2 stats. So we are going to open 2 stats. And then the first question says, insert the slides that cover page and then add the title statistics in the title control. So we are going to add a cover page. We go to insert and then cover page. Then we need to look for that type of cover page. Slide deck. Now, the title control, like the document title, we need to replace it with stats. Right. They didn't ask us to delete other content control. In some cases, they will tell you to delete the other content controls also. The second one, change the layout of the text that starts with the viewer demographics and ends with the sponsorship communities to appear in two columns with a space of 1.5 centimeters and a line between. So they want us to put this one into two columns. You select and then from home you can just say column, add or remove columns, or you can go to layout. Then you go to more columns, then you choose two columns. And then they say should be line in between. Then the width, the spacing should be 1.5 centimeters. Then okay. Right. Make sure that the relationship between appears at the top of the second column. So you can see that the column, anytime they ask column, grade 12, they will always ask you to insert column break. As you can see, all the questions that we have been solving, they will always ask you to insert column break. So the relationship that from here must appear on top of the second page or the second column. So you click before the relationship and then you go to layout, breaks, and then you choose column so that it will be on top of the second column. Right. Then the next question says, we should find the list below the text, the following list, and apply the same bullet style and formatting to this list as the other list in the document. So we have to look for the list. The following list. Yeah, this one. They want us to find, make sure they change this list to the other list. Now, the other list in the document, we have this list also. And we have that list. So they use the same style. Now we need to apply them. You can just click on this and then we use Format Painter. Then we come and select this so that they will have the same list. So if you want to apply the same formatting and then the list to some text, you have to make use of Format Painter, this one. So all that you need to do is you click inside the one that is already formatted. You click on Format Painter. Then you come here, then you select your list. Then automatically they will also apply the same list. Right. Now we should change the text and image below this one as follows. Now I can see that. Let's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 sizes. That means they crop to shape. So let's go and look for that. It's 3 marks, so we don't need to do so many things. They change this one to that shape. And then the gamma and this one must also be together. So they have gamma. And then they have this one also. Now, if we check, they are all using true. So before we do that, we can also use them, let's say to say that we put them together so that we can select this one. And then we hold down the control key to select the other one also. The text box, this one, is having through or tight or square. then this one also is having the same. So we can fix the position. And then we right click and choose group so that we group them as one. Then we can now bring them here. Then we can also group these two by selecting this one. You hold down the control key and you select that one also. Remember, if you want to select, they must have the same. So I group the gamer first, but then the first thing that I needed to check was the layout option. The layout options must be the same. So I'm just going to show you again. This one's here. You click this and then you click that one so that they will all be selected. You hold down the control key, you right click and then you choose group. That's when I group them. So now, after you group these two, you take them to this one. Why is it picking up nicely? Because they have already made this one, the layout to be behind text. So meaning whatever text you put on it will be in front of it. So it should be behind text and then this one will be in front. Then after that, we must group these two also. So I click on this, I click on that also. Hold down the control key to select both. You remove your finger from the control key, you right click and choose group, and then you group it as one so that they will now become one object. After this, you go to the shape format or the picture format. They are still the same. And then you go to crop to shape. Then you look for 10 stars and banners, the 10. So that is how they did this one to put them together for 3 marks. So first of all, you need to group, and then after that, you change them to crop to shape, and then you pick the 10 stars. Right, so that's this one. It looks exactly as that. As for the colors, they did not mention that one. That's why it's 3 marks. Now, find the text question frag 2.5 and insert the data from the two teams. Let me check if there's no comment. Yeah, if there are no comment, I will proceed. Now, the question says we must find the text question of frag 2.5 and insert the data from two teams spreadsheet found in the examination as a link object. So 2.5 here, we are going to insert the object as a link. Now you go to insert, quick path. Oh, no, this one is object, text from file. We are sending it, but the question says as a link. So here, if you set as a link, you don't have to say text from file, object. And then you go to create from file. Then you browse. Now it says to team. Then you make it as link to file, not display as icon, and then okay. So you are picking from the file and it will be linked so that when I double click on this, it's gonna open that file, the original file for me. So that's how we insert as object and link to file. Right. If the question had said we must display it as icon, you don't need to go through that long process. If it was displayed as icon, you just have to click, then you drag it. Then you just leave it there. It's going to be there as icon so that when you double click on it, it will open the file. So take note, if the question says display as icon, just drag and drop. If the question says it must be the text, the content, and it should be linked, then you have to go through the long process, insert object, and then you pick the create from file. Right. Apply any 3-line border or page border to appear on each side of the page, the document pages. So each side. Now, page border on each side. So they didn't talk about the top or the right or the left or the vertical side. So now let's look at that. Page border. You can also set and say borders and shading. Then pick the borders, and then you also have the page border. Then we can choose 3D, they didn't specify. And then according to the question, it should be 3-line page border. So you look for 3 lines. And then each side, so these are the sides. Then apply to the whole document, you choose that, and then okay. Watch out for this, they can ask questions for the options, whereby they will tell you from the margins, different borders and shading margin where you must place them, and then measure from also whether text or edge. They can ask that type of question. So watch out for that as grade 12 learners. Right. Then the next question, find the text box at the end of the document and do the following. Insert the total number of words as a field in the format first, second, third. Change the direction to horizontal. Now, we need to insert a field inside that text box. So we go and locate that text box. This is the text box. And the question says we must insert the number of words. So you can go to search and type field. Because the question says as a field. Or alternatively, we could have done so by going to insert, quick path, and then you see field. But the shortest way is just go there and type field. And then there's a number of words. So you look for words. This is number of words. And the question says we must choose the format first, second, third. This one. Then okay. So we have 678. But it is written on that first, second, and third. Now, with this, we need to change the direction of the text. We can easily rotate it to be like this, so that to be horizontal. Or we can just click on it, and then we see shape format, then we see rotate. So we could have done that also. Right. That is all for Microsoft Word. Any question, I will check. If there's no question, we will move straight to spreadsheet. Now, we move straight to spreadsheet question number 3. Three rank. Right, the first question says, rename sheet 1 to medals and move the worksheet to appear as the last worksheet in the document. So sheet 1 should be medals. You right click and choose rename, and then you type medals. And then we need to move this sheet to the last one. So you click and hold down the control, your left mouse button, and you drag it to the last position. You change this one country code with it so that to be on the last position. Right. The next question, work in the player's worksheet and then format the row 5 to appear as you see. Now, whenever you see this kind of things here, it means they did what we call wrap text. They wrap the text. That's why you see them. and these are on different lines, 2 lines or so. So now, meaning we have to rep row 5 text, this row 5. From the player, this row 5. So we select row 5. And then we rep text. This is rep text. If you don't know where to find rep text, you are also allowed, you can just say rep text. And then they will be rep properly for you. Otherwise, choose the rep text on top here. Right. Insert a function in cell D3 to determine the fourth highest. Now, anytime they are talking about highest, the second highest, the third highest, the fourth highest, or the fifth highest, we use what we call large. So here we use the function called large. Now, when you arrange them from the largest to the smallest, the one in position 4 is what we are going to look out for. So we move to D3, and then we use the function called large, equal sign, large, double click on FX, and then again we click on FX. Now the array is the same as the column. Now we are supposed to find the fourth highest total price money. So we have to look for total price money. We select them. And then K is the position, which is position 4 from the highest. So that's the large function. Now we work in the, insert a formula, here they say formula in F6 to calculate what percentage Sven's total price money is of his total price money. Now percentage, that means you divide. So let's go and see F6 here. Now it says his overall price money, and then this is 713, and total price money, which is 510. So we want to find the percentage of this, of that one, and it should have percentage symbol. So we just go to equal sign, click on the smaller value divided by the bigger value, which is the overall one, and then you press enter. Do not press times 100 because they want the percentage to be there. So you just get the fraction and then you press enter. You get the answer. Right. We work in the tournament worksheet. Insert a function in C3 to determine the number of all tournaments held. The number. Now, whenever you see the keyword here, number means count. Or you can use counter, either count or count A. Right. Now, whenever you see number with a criteria, that's where it becomes count if. So take note of that. So the number, we use count. We move to tournament worksheet and then we go to C3. The number for all. Now, if you don't have numbers, so here I can use counter. Remember, counter counts only letters, like the text, and then a count, just a count, will only count numbers. So it's better use count A, equal sign count A. This one. And then you click on FX. Now the values, you select all these values. And then okay. So we got 46. Now you could have used count, but if you're using count, you don't have to use the text. Like if I say equal sign count, then if I select this, it's gonna give me 0. So you got 0. If you use count, you are going to get 0. So take note, count is only for number. You could have used this column. Now, so when you get 0, just put A after the T and then enter. The answer will be right. Good. Now, the next question. Insert a function in C4 to calculate the total price. Now, the total price money for all. held in Washington. Now, total price, meaning we use sum. Now, they say for all held in Washington, that means sum with a condition. So that can be sum if, or you can use sum ifs. Sum ifs will solve for all of them for you also. Whether we have 1 or 2 or 3 criteria, when you use sum ifs, you get the answer right. Good. So now we go to C4. Now the question says we should find the total price, the sum of the total price, whereby it was held in Washington. And Washington is in column D. We see Washington, the city, in column D. And then we are finding the total price money. That's why we have to use the sum ifs, or you can also use sum if. Why sum if? Because it's only one criterion. But if it's more than one, we can use sum ifs. So here equal sign, sum ifs. Then the sum range is where the values are. That's the total price. Then the criteria range 1. Whenever you see range is like you select the values in the column. Criteria range 1 is where we can find Washington. So you select the cities. And then the criteria, they say Washington. Now, how will you know Washington? You can see that Washington is also part with other text. So we can just say star WAS star. I prefer this one. That means it contains WAS. You pick the first 3 letters of that text and then okay. Now let's look at what we are going to get. This is the answer. Right. So it's the same as if I type Washington in full, I'm going to get the wrong answer. I type Washington in full. I got wrong answer. Why? Because we don't have only Washington. Washington with something else. So that's why I did not get any answer. But to avoid that, pick the first 3 letters. Very, very important. Star WAS. Washington begin with WAS and then star. So you got the answer right. So please make use of wildcards. It's going to solve all problems for you. Whether spreadsheet or whether database, you're going to solve all these type of questions. Now, an attempt was made to find a 3-letter abbreviation of each country from the country code. They wanted to get like USA, first 3 letters. They pick, how did they get USA? How did they get USA from here? So United States, China is CHN. First, to find a 3-letter abbreviation of each country from the country code worksheet. Oh, the country code worksheet is here. Good. Now, so they were supposed to pick this one, these values, and come and bring them here. By making use of the country, which is like Egypt, we have AGY, United States, and others. But here we got the wrong answer. And then the question used VLOOKUP, D9, the tournament worksheet, and say 1. Now the problem is, why are they saying we are picking from 1, column 1? It's not supposed to be column 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the question says, modify the function in cell F9 so the correct abbreviation will be shown. So here we are going to change the function. That's the VLOOKUP. We are going to fix it. Now, let's open it in FX and see. It got it fair, right? It got this one also right. Even though the tournament array A7 up until, let's see that one also, A7. You see, they chose wrong one. Instead of they chose it from here. Instead of picking them from the country code, they pick it from the tournament code, which is A7 up until that one. So that was the problem. It was supposed to be. So we are going to easily identify the problem and fix it. The D9 is fine. The tournament name, let's go to country code and check. We do not have the tournament name, so the lookup value is even wrong. We need to pick the country code. So let's fix it easily. The lookup value cannot be this one. The lookup value should be the country, which is United States. So we have to delete that one and pick this one, which is E9. And then the table array is not supposed to be that. We have to pick it from the country code, and we select only the values excluding the heading. And then the column index, we are picking from column number. If you go here, this is column 1, column 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we are picking from column number 5, not 1. And then here, if false is not working, you can say true. It gives us problem. No, false. Then we get a USA. And then okay. So here they made a mistake. We needed to pick the values from here. In other words, we're supposed to do the VLOOKUP from scratch. They gave it to you, then we need to fix it and then solve that problem. Right. Again, you could have also used XLOOKUP to get the answer, even though you were going to be penalized with one because the question says modify the function that is there. I don't know where the rubric is, so I don't know whether they gave the mark if learners use XLOOKUP or not. Right, so that is all for 3.7. Now, again, I just want us to use also XLOOKUP and see for learners who have already planned to use XLOOKUP. So if you were to use XLOOKUP, you are going to change the V to X, and then you click on your FX. So the lookup value is correct, E9. The lookup array will now be only the country column. And then the return array was going to be the code and then you put -1 here and then okay. So you're going to get the same answer when we use XLOOKUP, meaning you have modified that function to also use XLOOKUP, and then you're going to get it right. Alternatively, like what we have been doing, you can also give them names, and then you put those names there. Right, that's all for question 3. Now, any question before we move to question 4? There's no question, so we are moving straight to question number 4. It says we must open the first shop So we open for shop. And now the question says, the shop has a policy which allows a customer to pay off a product on a monthly basis over a 24-month period. The customer will pay an extra amount for the 24-month contract. Insert a function in D3 to determine how many customers did not take a 24-month contract. So did not, that means who did not, that means empty spaces. So here we use count with the blank spaces called count blank. Because how many means count, did not take any, that means blank spaces. How many had blank spaces? So 4.1.1, we have to use count blank equal sign, count blank. Then you click on FX. Then you select the extra 24-hour. Let me check whether monthly basis. So which one is this one? This here. So you select this place. Let's check whether they are talking about extra amount or the monthly payment. Or we'll pay an extra in column G. So here is column G. And then we click OK. Sorry, I added H to it. So column G. So we got 19. Count blank spaces here. Right. The next question. Insert a formula in H10 to determine how much money Jacob Msibi must pay each month for the 24-hour contract. Now, let's go and check H10. Here's H10. Now, total amount payable for number of items bought is this one. And then extra amount payable on 24-month account is this value. Now, monthly payment for 24 months. So here, 24 months, how much will we pay? So you have to divide this one by 24. So equal sign this divided by 24. So we got 13. Now, I see here that this one is 62 for 164. Let's check the question again. How much money Jacob Msibi must pay each month for a 24 month? Now, this is the quantity and this is the selling price. So the total for the number of items is here. And then you added an extra of this one. Extra amount payable on a 24-month contract. The monthly payment for the 24 months. So here you added an extra and then you're going to pay that 24. So meaning that is this amount here, the total amount payable for the item that you have bought, then the extra amount also here on the 24. So if it's 24 months and then how much will we pay here? That will divide by 24. Let's drag down and see, because I'm getting, this is 26, which is less. So meaning that they added these two. So let's see, equal sign. This amount here plus the 24 divided by 24. That's 127. 250, yes. This is the correct answer. We needed to add this amount in column F to column G because the total amount is this one, and then you added an extra thing here. So when you add the 2, then you divide by 24 months. That will give us 127. Right, so always you need to test them. Whenever you are doing, you must test and see whether if you drag down, it will work. Right, now let's look at the next question. According to the next question, it says, use a specific feature to display the customer name in any green field if the customer bought 3 or more items. So here we are going to select and fill the customer name. So we need to select the customer name. And then we go to conditional formatting, new rule. Now the question says, if the person bought an item 3 or more, items, then we need to highlight with green fill. So you select this, conditional formatting, new rule, and then we choose use a formula. Then you can now compare. That is when this value, I prefer you go and click after the equal sign. Because it shouldn't be absolute. Because the moment you do this, it doesn't want to go. So you can type it also. This is D6. So if D6 is greater than or equals to 3, then you must go to format, and then we'll fill with green color. Then okay. So whenever it's 3 or more, it will be highlighted in green. Right. Let's move on to the next question. If you have any question, don't forget to put it in the comment section. 4.3, the shop will send a notice to a customer with a 24-month contract. Insert a function in I6 to display the text notice if a customer has a 24-month contract. Otherwise, it must be left blank. So here, if a person has a 24-hour monthly contract, that's here, then this size should be called notice. Otherwise, it should be blank. So here there are 2 conditions. So we are going to use a simple if statement. Equal sign if, double click on FX, and then the formula bar as well. Right. So if this value here, we can make sure that maybe if that value is equals to empty. Empty, you use 2 inverted commas, or you can put inverted comma and then space inverted comma. Then we should display it empty, or you can just press space bar. Otherwise, we should say notice. So when someone does not have any value here, then you should display empty. Otherwise, we should put notice and then okay. So if you drag down, this is empty. If you drag down again, this is notice. Right. So that is how this question was supposed to be tackled. And then we move on to the last question, which is a graph. No, not the graph. It says work in the games worksheet. Insert a function in C3 to determine how many games have a discount. How many, that means count if or count ifs, have a discount percentage between 60 and then 70% inclusive. Now, whenever you see between, that means there are two criteria. There are two criteria. That is when the percentage is greater than or equals to 60%, and then also when it is less than or equals to 75%. Right. So these are the two criteria. That's why we have to use count ifs. And always check the count ifs and maybe the sum ifs. The total marks will be from 5 and above going, or sometimes 4. So watch out for that. Right. So now we are going to go to the games worksheet. So we say equal sign count ifs. You click on FX. So here we are using a discount percentage. The criteria range 1, you select the discount percentages, and then the criteria is when it's greater than or equal to 60%. Don't forget to put the percentage because the values here are having percentages. And then the criteria range 2, you select the same column, and the criteria will be less than or equals to 75%. Then you click OK. So we got 5. Remember, there are two criteria. The one is the greater or equal to 60%, and then the other one is less than or equal to 75%. Right, now we move on straight to the next question, which is question number 4.5. Now it says create a chart to display as shown below. Now I like this chart though. 6 marks. There's a use for screen image as a background image, as you can see. Move the chart to a new chart sheet called price. Now I can see that this is a column chart. There is data labels also there. There is also the title called price. There is also there's no legend. There are also trend lines. This one we call them trend lines. Take note, whenever you see something like that, we call them trend lines. Trend lines. Right. So now let's look at it. Now one funny thing is they took the prices and these ones. So we select them, but then let's check how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But when you come here, it's more than 7. There are more than 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So meaning that this question, they started from, you might check the first one, magazine, mobile, and then the Oregon Trail. So meaning those are the ones that we must start from. Here is magazine. That means this is the one they chose here. They chose these values. Now, when you have this type of question, to make it easier, somebody can just copy them one by one into the building block, which is allowed. Copy and paste. Then they copy this one also. They come here, they paste. Then they now draw the graph using this. Insert chart, and then they choose a simple chart. Right. Alternatively, somebody can just go straight. You select this. You hold down the control key. You select only these values. so that you ignore these ones. After that, remove your finger from the control key. You go to insert chart, and then you pick that right chart. Right, so you can choose whichever way that you want. Now, after that, this one was written price. And then the Afrikaans name also. Right. Now look at it. The African name was down. You can increase them. And then also they have the background. I don't think there are lines. There are no lines there. But let's fill the background first. You right click, fill, and then you choose picture. And then from file. Then according to the question, the picture should be full screen. To full screen. Now, there were no lines here. I don't see any grid lines. So here we must remove the grid lines. So the grid lines must be removed. No horizontal or vertical grid line. Right. And then we must also put a trend line. Trend line was there. And I think it's this 2-period moving average, this one. If you don't find the right trend line, you can go to more options and check which trend line did they use. You see, this is linear, this is exponential, logarithm, power. This is the moving one with a 2. Or you can customize it also, the period. Right, so that's the one that they use. And the data labels were also there to be on top of each. Right, I think that is all for the 4 marks. Let's check here also. It starts from 200. Yes, it also starts from 200. So that's the right thing. Now we are done. Now, when you are done here, the question, you must move it to a new worksheet called price. So we need to create a new worksheet called price. We click on this plus and then we double click to type price. Then we can now move this. When you click on it, it's going to give you the chart design and then format. Now from the chart design, click on move chart and then you say as object in price worksheet. Or you could have just done that and say new sheet and then you type the sheet name. So here we just say price worksheet and it will be moved to that price worksheet. Right, so that is all for question number 4 for 4.5. And then we are done with spreadsheet. Any question before I proceed? If there are no questions, I will proceed to database. Now let's move straight to database, which is question 5. So 5 games. Now the first question, edit the properties of the tournament field so that the text would not exceed 15 characters. Now these are the easy questions, or maybe the easy mark, we call it collectible mark. So whenever you see should not be exceeding or some, that's the field size. Field size should be 15. So field size should be 15. We open the table 1, you right click and choose design view. And then the field size for the tournament field should be 15. Then the next question, change the date field to display in the format 4y/2m/dd. Make sure that a user can choose a date. So here, the date and then the format, we have to change it. So we have to delete general date and then we type 4y/2m/2d. Right. And then when you are done, that's the one the question says we must pick. Then, when you go to the date format, it also gives you other options or the other properties. Now here is the date with the date and time. Then if you want the date picker, because the question says, make sure that a user can choose a date. To choose a date means you can pick a date. And the property is date picker, show date picker. It says never, and then we say for dates. So that when we go here, and then we go to the date, it will allow us to pick the date. So that is what the question wanted us to do. Right, the next question says, modify the properties of the location field so that it displays as in the example below. Use the TBL country table and then select yes if you get any warning. Then we need to put a table. We select this value from the table. And this is called the combo box. So we go to location field. And then we go to lookup. We change the text box to lookup or the combo box. And then by default, it gives us row source as table or query. And then the row source, we change it to TBL countries. I think that's what the question says. Yes. So that to pick it from there, don't forget the column count should be 1 because it's only in one column. If you were to have 2 columns like this, then the column count should be 2. Right, 5.1.4, edit the price field so that it only accepts values above 15,000. Add a descriptive text. Above 15,000, that means greater than 15. So we go to the general properties, and then the validation rule, we say greater than 15,000. Then we type the validation text. Validation text should be price, money, should be should be more than 15,000. So not from means when you say greater or equals to, but here you say greater. Don't forget to always mention the field name before you put the condition there also. Right. Now we move on to the next question. What is 5.2? Modify the form to display as follows. How many marks? 6 marks. They did not tell you what you must do. At least they gave some notes. 10% discount will be given to registration fee for all games listed, 10% discount. And we should use the picture in the form footer. We should use the picture in the form footer, but I see header here. But let's go and see what is there. So we right click and choose design view. There's a picture in the form footer. This one. And now that picture must be in the form header, as you can see here. Now we don't see that picture there. These pictures are just together. So we can also, they didn't tell us to cut it. unless maybe we want to take all of them. Now, the first thing, we can also use different means to remove some of the things from the picture. We can use snipping tool, new, and then we take out this. Then we can save our picture, because you'll not find that picture in this place. There's no picture. So now we can take that one out, and then we save that picture in our folder. Then we insert the picture in the header. We go to form design, and then background image there. You see, even when we put this picture here, it's still gonna show the other part, which we don't want it like that. So like I said, you can insert that image, the one that you have cropped, you have taken already. You browse for that image. And let's see again, the image is between, or it's below this one. So you can take the image here. And then we can fill in instead of zoom. You can say stretch. But now this picture is also here, meaning we have to delete this one. We don't need that image. We don't need that one. We only need this part. Don't forget, the question didn't tell us about any form of the width, the height, and everything. They said we must use that picture. That means we need to use all means to capture that picture. Take it out. You can just use snipping tool to take some and then remove the background, whatever you want. But once the picture is there, and then again, the calculation was done also. Let's check. 10% discount was done, was calculated. And it says unbound. So we can right click and go to build event, expression builder. Then we now do our 10% discount. Of the fee. So we say 10 divided by 100 times the fee value. You double click on it and then okay. But now remember, in database, when you click okay, it's not going to show here. So you must select copy, Control C. Then you click OK, come here, equals to Control V to paste it. Now let's go and check. 10% discount is here. But then this one here has the rent symbol. So we need to put the rent symbol there. Right, I think the discount fee, this is 655 and it gives us 589. Meaning that it is not just 10%, we have to check it. They gave them, so discount fee. Because if we look at ours, 655, we get 65 instead of 589. Meaning not just 10%, then we subtract the 10% from that one. Let's go back, build event. So this 10% must be taken out from this fee. So it's not supposed to be like that. It should be 90% equals to 90 over 100 times the fee. Why do we say 90%? That's the discounted price. The price after the discount. Because if you calculate just the discount amount, we are getting the wrong answer. So here, this should be 90 instead of there we go. So we got the right answer. It's supposed to be 90%, the discounted price. That's the price after taking the discount. So because the original price is 100%, I think I must break it down to make everybody understand this explanation. Instead of 90%, we could have done that by saying, let me open it in Word, then I will explain it properly. Right, so we have to take note of this kind of calculation. It is not discount. If a discount is just going to be 10%, that's 10 over 100 times the fee. But they said 10% discount after you have deducted it, which is a discounted price. Maybe the question confused by saying 10% discount. They rather wanted a discounted price. So it was supposed to be equals to, you can open bracket and say 100 minus 10 divided by 100 times fee. Times fee. Why do we say 100 minus 10? Because it's the 10% discount. Discount means you subtract. So the original percentage is 100%. Now, when you subtract the 10 from the original percentage, you are going to get 90. That's why I said 90. And then divide by 100 because it's percentage times the fee. So we could have also gotten that answer by saying equals to, you open bracket 100 minus 10, you close bracket divided by 100 times fee. You double click on fee. So we now need to copy, and then we come and paste it here. There we go. So we got our answer right. So basically, that's what the question wanted us. It's just that it was a bit confusing. So they wanted discounted price, not just discount fee. Right, and that side was also shaded. I think it was shaded already. So that is all about this question. Right. Then we move on to 5.3. Create a query named QRY5_3 based on TBL games. We have to display the game and then the fee field. And then for all who played from January 2025, when they say January 2025, that means 1st of January 0101 2025. That's the from, and up until April 2025, that's the 30th. April ends, I think maybe 30th of April, that's 04 2025. So we say between this and that one. That should be the criteria. And it should be sorted alphabetical. That means ascending order. So let's create it. QRY5_3. We go to create query design. Query design. Then you double click on the TBL games. Now the question says we need game and fee. So you double click on game and you double click on fee. And the question says it should be sorted according to game. So under the game sort, you choose ascending. And then the criteria, all the games played from January. But here, the question didn't tell us to select the game date, but they want the criteria for it. So we need to double click on game date also. So the game date, we say between criteria, between space 01/01/2025 and 30th/04/2025. Type the date in the normal format. So this should be the right date. Between 1st January 2025 and 30th of April 2025. The hashtag will be there automatically. If I click somewhere, it comes automatically with the hashtag. So this is what the question wanted, but we don't need to display the game date. So we have to untick the game date and then we run again. We need to see only these two. Right. So that is all what the question wanted us to do. Then, don't forget when you are done, you right click and say save. Then to ask you to put the name, then you put the name there and save it. The next question, that's the next query. Open the query QRY5_4 based on the TBL and modify all the classic games and all the non-action games with a rating of higher than 8. Higher than 8 means greater than 8 for the rating. So let's look at that. Right click and choose design view. Now, before you do anything, you must run it and see what do we have there. The first criteria, all the classic games. So these are the games and they are looking for classic. So check how did they put the classic. Classic is in the genre, which is here, classic. So we go there and say classic. Instead of classic, we can say star CLA star for classic. Like I said, pick the first three. We run it, we see only classic. This is the criteria. Because they are looking for classic, we say star CLA star. The first three letters, which is classic. And then the question says again, and all the non-action games. Where do we see the action games? We have to check the table. Where do we see action? This is the table. All right, that is for the genre again. We have the action. So non-action games are the others. So we go back. We have the classic and non-action. Non-action means excluding action. So we put less than and greater than and say action. That is not action. You just say this. We must make sure that we don't put so we put it less than, greater than, and then action. That's excluding action. Remember, it should be in inverted comma. Right. And then it says non-action games with the rating of 8, more than 8. So it should be non-action game with a rating of more than 8. So greater than 8. That greater than 8 should only be for non-action, not for classic. Then run it. So we got it. So you will see some of them will be classic. And then it will have 7. But then all the non-action should not be 8. It should be more than 8. Right. So basically, this is what the question wanted us to do. Take note, classic, star, CLA star. And then non-action, you put a less than and greater than. That means excluding this one. It means excluding or not. Right. Then we'll move straight to the next question, which is 5.5, modify the query 5_5 as follows. Now, this is called aggregate function. Aggregate. Why aggregate function? Because of this. AVG of rating. AVG is a function called average. Now, when you see something like AVG, sum, and then you see of with capital O with small f, that means it's aggregate function. So sometimes you see AVG of, sometimes you see sum of or count of, then you know it's aggregate function. So let's go and look at that question. 5_5. Now we see the general and then the rating. But according to the question, it says general and then also AVG of rating. If we run it, we don't see AVG of rating, then it must tell you it's aggregate function. So to do the aggregate function, you activate this one, totals. Click on totals, you are going to see the total row. And because we see AVG of rating, we change this group by to AVG, and then we run it. Now let's see, we see action, adventure, and all of them. But we can see the decimal places are only having 2 decimal places. So we need to change the decimal places to 2. You click here, right click and choose properties. Then you see format, we choose fix. Then it will have 2 decimal places. Right. That is it for 5.5. 5.6, a query was created. Rename the calculated field as code. The query was created. Now we have to rename, change the name, and make sure that the combination of the function is to create the code as follows. The first 3 letters of the game, which is the left. You know, when you say first 3, meaning we use the left function. And then the month of the game date, we extract the month using the month function. And when we are joining, we use concatenate, which is this one, and Shift and 7 to join it. So let's take a look at that. 5_6. They did it. So you must right click and choose build. Then you can now go and fix it here. The code, instead of EXPR1, we change it to code. Then the month of the game is there already, but that should be the last one. So we need to put the first 3 letters. We come here and say left. As you start typing left, you see FX next to left. Double click. And then they say the left of the game. You double click on game. If it gives you the EXPR, you delete it. Left of the game, comma 3. Then you close the bracket. Because the question says first 3. And then you put Shift and 7 N to join them. There we go. So the first 3 followed by the month extracted. Now, sometimes they can even tell you to also use upper. So here we're going to say upper, which is U case. Then you close the bracket. U case means upper, and then L case means lower. So now when we run, it changes to uppercase. If you are changing to lowercase, say L case. So that is it for us. Right. We move straight to 5.7, which is the report. Now, they have created the report for you in a screenshot. They use these fields. And then you can see it's grouped according to this one because we have action all together. And there were some calculations here. That says the lowest fee. So we have to create it. Create query design. No, report design, sorry. Report design. And then it should be based on, according to the question, TBL games. So you select TBL games, and then you select all the fields. Next, grouping according to genre, you double click. Next, let's check whether they sorted. Yeah, they sorted action and others. So it was sorted. And it was also sorted according to ratings. You can see 5, 7, 8. So they sorted according to ratings. Then next, and the landscape, and then you can finish. There we go. Right. But we need to do calculations. So we need to close the print preview and come and do our calculations here. Now you realize that the calculation was done under the fee, which is the lowest fee for each group, because for every group like action, there's calculation. When you go to adventure, there will be calculation also. So we go to group and sort. Now you don't find group and sort here. We can go to tell me what to do and say group. Then it gives you group and sort. Then where is a group on, you see more, and then with no totals, you select fee. And then we are having the lowest fee, so which is be the minimum, and then should be show subtotal in group footer. Then you have it here. Now let's see. We get our answer here. Right. Now here is it. And then we put a label, which is a small a, and we draw it here so that we can type there as lowest fee. Lowest fee. Now, if we want to put a border around this one, you select and then make sure that you put a border. From the format, you see 3PT for the border. You see the border width, you change from hairline to 3PT or any PT. Right, so that we have a border around it or a lighter one. Good, so that's all for this particular question. Right, any other? The network was a bit down. Right, I don't know whether you can see the screen again, whether I'm back online. The network was a bit down. Let me know if I'm back online in the comment section. I think so. Right, I think I'm back online. If you can see my screen, let me know. Yeah, if you can see the screen, I'm gonna continue. We are left with HTML, and then the last question. I think the network is giving a bit of a problem. Videos. We are left with HTML, and then the last question. I think the network is giving a bit of a problem. Right, if you can see my screen, I'm going to continue. Now we move straight to HTML. Question 6. So I'm going to open 6. I want somebody to check for me if everything is fine with it, my screen. Right, so now the first question. Modify the body tag to align the text to display as shown in the example in the previous page. Now, this is 6.1. And then if we check the question, if we check this question, we realize that the HTML that we have here has been centered. Everything is centered here, the alignment, all the text. And now the question is we should modify so that everything will be centered. Now, look at 6.1.1. And they say we should modify the body tag. They did not talk about inserting any alignment or anything. Inserting heading 1 or putting anything there or paragraph. They say modify the body tag. So here inside the body tag, we put an attribute called align. Align equals to center. So it should be inside the body tag to align our work. Now let's see. You're supposed to do the first one. Then the second one, edit the text so that the 6_1 logo image will display. Make sure that the text logo will display if the image cannot display. Now, that is the alt text. If the image cannot be shown, then the message logo will be displayed. So let's go and see 6.2. The problem is it could be the file extension. So we go and check from the file. 6_1 logo. The file extension PNG, not JPG. So we need to change the file extension to JPNG, not JPG. And then they say the alt text ALT equals to logo. Right, that should be the second question. Then format the heading welcome to the tournament to display as the second biggest heading, which is H2. The second biggest heading means H2. So we go to this one and we put H2 as a tag, and then we close our H2 tag. Right. Format the text below the heading tournament details to display as shown in the previous page. Now, tournament details. Let's go and check the previous page. What was there? Now the tournament details, we have this. And then let's see our page again. Yes, you can see that 25th November is not the same as what we see here. So that should be below the tournament details. So we go and look for the 25th November, which is 6.1.4. Here is it. And it's in the table. Remember, this is in the TH. And in this row, This TR also, we have to put a TD, and then we close it with our table data. Right, then we save. Now let's go back and check. Now, they did not put it in a cell. That is why it was omitted from that particular table. Then the next question. Modify the HTML code to display the horizontal line above the registration with a thickness of 10% and a gold color. That's 6.1.5. HR. And then the size equals to 10%. The width is fine. Then the color equals to gold. And then we put a greater than symbol. Right, so the size should be 10% and then the color should be gold. So whenever you see thickness, it is the size. If you see the length there, then it's the width. Right, correct the HTML code at the end of the document so that the hyperlink will be displayed to the web page. So A, they didn't put href. So that was the problem. Right, then we move straight to the next one, which is 6.2. Now here, they say we must open 6_2 entry, and then we do it as we see on the screen. So let's first go and see that one. Double click. You realize the background is dark. So we need to change it. Right click, edit with Notepad++, and the BG color light yellow. It should be one word. That's the problem. You must close it. It should be one word. Then when I save, and then I go back, I refresh the page. Now I will have the light yellow color so that it will not be dark anymore. Again, let's see what is missing there. Esports event entry form. You can see this one here must cover everywhere. Center and it's merged. So I must go back there. Esports. So I say call span to merge columns equals to 2. Why do I choose 2? Because there are 2 columns. Let's check the original one. There are 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. So we have to say call span equals to 2. So when we save and then we refresh, you see that it's fitting properly. Right. Again, let's check the question. Now, please note standard rules and regulation apply is also bold. So we have to make this one to also be bold. We must put this one as B, and then we close it with B. So let's refresh and see again. Now we see B. Right. Let's check what is missing again. Now the lines, you can see the lines. Here, since there are no lines, so we can say border equals to 0. from the table, beginning of the table, we say border equals to 0. Or we delete the border. There shouldn't be any line. Right. So basically the table was there, but you don't see any border. So the border should be 0 to remove the border from there. Right. I think that is all for the 4 marks. To change this one to bold, to call span, and also remove the borders from it. Yeah, I think that is all for this. It looks exactly as we see here. Right, so that is all for HTML. Now let's move to the last set of questions, which is question number 7, the general questions. Now it says 7.1. A report was opened. Now we have to open the 7 report. Right, so 7 report. Now the question says, edit the report as follows. Find the heading table of content and create a table of content with 2 levels below this heading. So we are going to create it below this heading. Table of content from references, table of content, and then we choose custom table of content. Now they said 2 levels, so show levels should be 2. And now, what levels are they? The gaming style for level 1 and heading 3 for level 2. So we go to options, and then heading 3 should be 2, meaning there is no heading 1, we delete, and there is no heading 2. Then we go down and look for the gaming style. Yes, then we make this one as 1. And then okay. So that is the table of content. You must make sure that you choose the right level. Right. Now find the QR code below the text winners of. Link this QR code to 7 results web page found in your examination folder. Add a screen tip viewing. So we have QR code. And you say we must link this one. So you right click and choose link. Then we are linking to 7 results web page. So we have to take existing page and then we look for 7 results. We are not done yet. Then script and say viewing, and then okay. Right, so basically that is what we needed to do for that particular question. Now 7.2, we must open spreadsheet 7 stuff. So spreadsheet costs 7 stuff. And the question says, the staff members can only be a part of the hosting team in 2025 esports tournament if they were not a host. If they were not a host in the last 2 years. And if there's N here, I like this, there's N. And if they are not game masters. So now there are several conditions that we need to put together. Insert an AND function to determine if Visage can be part of the hosting team. Now the last 2 years, let's go and check. The last 2 years, that means 2023 and then 2024. Then again, when it comes to the host, and were not a host in the last 2 years, if they are not game masters. So the game masters is also in column B. So the game master, yes, means you're a game master. Not means you are not game master. That is no. So we need to put the answer here. We are combining them. So we use equal sign and. Then the logical text 1. This one, which is F5, is not host. So you have the F5 should not be host. So you put less than and greater than host. Not means you put less than and greater than. Then you go to logical 2. G5 is not host again, less than, greater than. Then you put host. And then the next one should be this. The game master, you shouldn't be game master. And they are not game master. That means no. So the criteria is this one. Not is less than, greater than, not host. And then the other one should also be not host, which is EF, I think F5 also. And this is G5. And then D5 should be equals to no. So you don't forget to put the inverted commas, right? So G5 should be equals to no. Then you click OK. So all the three conditions, this one is not host, this one is not host, and this is no. So all the three conditions are correct, then true. So when you drag down, false. If you drag down here, also true. So meaning our function is correct. Right. So that should be the right function. And then let me put it again to Word so that you will see clearly. So this should be the right one. And F5 is not host. Then G5 is not host. And then B5 equals to no. Then it's going to give you true and false. Right. Let's proceed to the next question, which is 7.3. Open the 7SA database in design view. Actually, I must say that I love these questions because they brought some new questions that you have not seen them from different previous question papers. Now, we open this. And according to the question, it says, export the first 20 players from the TBLSA with all the formatting. All the formatting must be there to the new spreadsheet called 7 export in your examination folder. So here we need to export the first 20. So the first 20 will be player 1 up until player 20. You select them. That means from 21 to 30 will not be included. Then you right click, you select again. You right click on any of the selected ones. Wait. You right click, or you just leave it like this. When you select, then you go to external, and then you're exporting to Excel. This is import, and that's export to Excel. Then don't forget, choose your examination folder. And then they say the name should be 7 export. Then you type 7 export. Right. And then they say the export data with formatting and layout. So you take that one. Then when you scroll down, you will see this. Export only the selected records. That's very important. These two. Export with the same format and then you export only the selected record, only these first 20. Then you click OK. Now your work will be exported for you, which is 7 export. Now when you open it, it shows only the first 20 records with the formatting the same. So that's how we export from database with the same formatting. Right. Now we move straight to the last part of the question, or the last question for the day, which is 7.4. Now open the 7 results, which is HTML, in the web browser and also in a text editor. Add the border, a 3pt border around the image. So here we open the 7 results, edit Notepad++, and the question says this image we must have 3pt border. So you say border equals to 3. And then that's the only note they gave. So we did this one. Now let's look for this. I think there's a list somewhere here. Let's save it. And then we open it in the browser to see. Now it's showing, but the list ABC is now changed to Roman numerals I, and then I. So we need to change that also. OL type equals to I, the one with capital I, not small I. And then the list is here with a paragraph below it. Now, where it says the crow, this one should be another list. So we have to put the LI here, just like the first one. So you put LI, and then we close our LI here. This one has it, so it's correct. So we save. We refresh. Now we see that we get it the right way. The LI and then also the border around it. So basically, this is what this question wanted us to do by changing the ordered list and then also putting a border there to get the full marks. Right, I think everything is showing clearly. As we can see from that side, they were not centered. So everything is fine. Right, that is all for these questions. That's the end of this question. Let me check if somebody wanted to ask any question. Then I will address that person if there's any question. If there's no question, we will end here. And then the lesson will be available also immediately I end. You can watch over and practice. Thank you for your time. All the best for your examination. We will try and have at least 2 lessons before Tuesday. We will see, but Monday, there's definitely going to be a lesson on Monday. We will see whether tomorrow or Sunday we'll have another lesson by looking at the scope that I gave you. Then we will be able to solve other questions as well. Thank you for your precious time. Good night.